Chapter 10. Zack. The human sat up, rubbing his eyes, and looked at the enormous winged creature hanging upside down above him. "The monster!" he shouted to Crysta. "Watch out!" She laughed, flying down to him.
"This isn't a monster. That's my friend, Batty. He's a fruit bat."
"Could have fooled me," he replied.
"What are you supposed to be, some kind of fairy?"
Of course I am. What about you? Are you really a human?
Last time I checked.
He said, looking around him for the first time. "Listen, this is too weird. I'm out of here. Time for this dream to end." He stood up, turned around, and stomped off down the branch and, without thinking, stepped on a leaf, which broke off and floated away with him on it. "Am I dead?" he shouted as he surfed the leaf through the air. "No, you're not," yelled Batty, "but we can fix that." Flying out of the tree, Crysta followed the leaf as it twisted and turned on the breeze.
"Oh, wow!
She squealed.
This is stupendous! I can't wait to take you home!"
Riding the breeze like a wave, the human glided the leaf down to the forest floor. But when a giant beetle crawled past him and waved his armor-plated nippers in the air, he screamed at the top of his voice, "What's happened to me?"
"I shrank you,"
said Crysta, watching him land on a pile of sodden leaves.
"I didn't mean to.
She added with a grin.
It was the most amazing thing. It's not what the spell was supposed to do, but Magiloon will fix you."
You shrank me?
He stared at her as he scrambled to his feet.
Catches on quick, doesn't it?
Bleeped Batty.
No, unshrink me, and I mean now!
He bellowed.
Well, I guess I could take a bash at it.
Take a bash?
It might work, but I'm only learning, so you'll have to take your chances.
Great! I've been shrunk by an amateur! I don't believe this. Okay, come on, bash away!
Closing her eyes and holding out her arms, Crysta chanted,
What was done, now undo. Return you to the form that's true.
A blast of energy shot out of her hands. His head blew up to twice its size, then shrank back again. Bits and pieces of him began to grow, but not all at the same time. When the spell stopped, he was still the same size.
I could try again,
Crysta said, puzzled.
Yes.
No!
He said, shuddering. Let's leave this to this Magi, whoever she is. By the way,
I'm Zack.
he said, holding out his hand to her. Looking at his hand curiously, she replied,
I'm Crysta.
Then smiling her most dazzling smile, she added,
Don't worry, Zack. I'm going to take you to FernGully. It's the most beautiful place in the forest. You'll love it there. Come on, Batty can carry you.
Moi? Leaped Batty. No way, not this little mammal. Carry a human? I'd rather gargle plutonium. Hey, the feeling's mutual, Batman. I can look after myself, Zack said, stomping off through the trees. But he didn't get very far before he was bellowing for help. Crysta found him backed against the trunk of a giant tallowood tree. A huge Gowana was standing in front of him, its long tongue flicking in and out as it eyed him over.
Oh no! Don't eat him!
She cried, flying down between them.
But I have to eat somebody,
hissed the Gowana, staring Zack straight in the eye.
Oh, please don't eat my friend!
Pleaded Crysta, drooping her wings and fluttering them daintily.
Oh, little sweet wings,
said the big Gowana, softening at the sight of her.
You know any friend of a fairy is a friend of mine? Tell you what, if I can't eat him, I can at least give him a lift.
He nodded to Zack.
Hop on my back.
Reassured by Crysta that he would be safe, Zack scrambled up on the Gowana's back. Then, without a word of warning, the Gowana shot off through the forest at top speed. his short but sturdy front and back legs a blur against the undergrowth. Crysta followed close behind, while Batty flapped unhappily overhead. "Fractured figs, fairy bug!" he cursed. "This is a calamitous collision of uncalculated circumstances of first-class master disaster!" The Gowana kept to the creek, running under ferns and bracken and scrambling over fallen logs. Every now and again, when he saw something worth eating, he scrambled up tree trunks. Crysta was impressed by the way Zack clung on. Just before dusk, the Gowana stopped and dropped Zack off.
This is as far as I'm going.
He hissed in his deep voice.
If you follow the creek, you'll find your way to FernGully.
"Thanks," said Zack, only too happy to get off and stretch his legs. That was the craziest ride I've ever been on. He wanted to rest, but Crysta insisted that they keep moving. As she walked beside him, she could hardly contain her excitement.
I've got so many questions to ask you.
She said, copying his long stride.
Tell me, why have humans returned to the forest? And who is that monster eating the trees?
Zack laughed at her. That wasn't a monster. It was a machine. "What's a machine?" she asked, frowning. "Well, it's a thing for cutting down trees," he panted, climbing over a fallen log.
That's terrible.
She gasped, fluttering ahead of him and pulling him over the log. "Only if you live in a tree," he said, grinning. He took her hand.
I do live in a tree.
She said, quickly pulling her hand away.
And so do all my friends.
A massive cluster of bright red toadstools loomed ahead. Zack wound his way around the thick, spongy stalks. The toadstools almost overpowered him with their strong smell. Crysta fluttered overhead and peered down at him from the top of the toadstools.
Could it come to FernGully?
She asked. "No way. You've got nothing to worry about," he said, elbowing his way out of the rubbery tunnel.
Why?
Asked Crysta, flying backwards beside him.
Because, it's trapped.
He replied, stumbling over twigs and vines.
Oh, I know.
She cried, lifting up a vine for him to walk under.
By those red marks. It can't go past them. Well, they must be magic.
Yeah! You know, you're pretty smart, Fairy.
He sat down to rest in the darkening forest. Crysta sat beside him, and they watched the night forest flicker to life as one by one, tiny lights appeared in the trees. Batty hung upside down from a nearby branch, never taking his eyes off Zack. "Buzz off! Get off our airwaves! Stop scrambling the amplitudes!" he jabbered rudely. But Zack didn't take any notice of Batty. He couldn't take his eyes off Crysta as she stretched out beside him on the soft carpet of leaves.
You are protecting the trees.
She said, sighing dreamily.
No wonder the monster wanted to kill you. I'm so glad humans have returned to the forest to protect the trees.
"What do you mean, returned?" he asked, watching a cluster of glowworms sparkle in the tree above him.
You returned. Because you used to live here with us a long time ago. You were our friends. Don't you remember?
"We did?" He laughed, while Batty shrieked at the top of his voice. "Friends? Oh no, fairy bug. Oh no, 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 no. Fractured figs, don't zero out now. You've got it all wrong. This thing isn't a friend."
Warning! Warning!
Oh, it all makes sense now.
Crysta said, ignoring Batty. Leaning over Zack, her face close to his, she looked deeply into his eyes and whispered,
I want to learn magic like yours. Will you teach me?